What does gutsy mean to you?
It means that I live, as cliche as it sounds, I'm true to myself. I live with what feels true. Because for me, gutsy is obviously something that comes from my gut, something that my intuition tells me that I should do. And I find that it's very difficult for people in general to follow their intuition, follow their gut, and be gutsy about it. So for me, someone who is true to themselves, who follows their intuition, that's a gutsy person. And these are gutsy moves.
Welcome to the Gutsy Podcast, the show where you learn how to own what you actually want and shift the mind junk that's been holding you back. I'm Laura Ora, keynote speaker, coach, and your guide to help you get clarity, build confidence, and make the gutsy moves that change your life. Each week, I'm going to help you simplify things by teaching you how to get out of your head while stepping into action. This way you can achieve all those life shifts that you've been overthinking. Your desire, that drives you. But gutsy, that's what gets it done. If you're someone that knows how to set a goal, work hard, and make shit happen, but relationships, that's the one area that doesn't feel like it follows the same rules, then this episode is for you. You probably have these questions like, I can build a business, I can lead a team, I can handle pressure, I can figure shit out, so why does dating or love feel so much harder? Well, I hate to tell you, but it's probably not about doing more. It's about looking at the beliefs, the patterns, and the experiences that have quietly shaped how you show up in love. In this episode, I'm joined by Laura Nagiel, and we're talking about dating, relationships, perfectionism, control, receiving, and all the ways that high-achieving women tend to unintentionally recreate patterns that keep them exhausted, not just in work, but in love too. Familiar doesn't always mean healthy. Childhood experiences can shape your adult relationships, and we're going to talk about why becoming a match for the relationship that you want starts with understanding yourself first. This conversation isn't just about dating or the current relationship that you're in. It's about the relationship with yourself, the self-trust, the letting go of control, and being willing to ask yourself some pretty uncomfortable questions about what you actually want, and whether or not you're creating space to receive it. Laura is a dating and confidence coach. She's the author of the Dream Framework, a practical 5-step method that's helped over 100 high-achieving women find the one within weeks. Contrary to the popular belief, Laura's view is that you can engineer finding your life partner, and love does not have to depend simply on luck. Her passion for dating coaching comes from her own years of struggling in love. Today, she helps women overcome their fears, anxieties, and limitations so they can finally experience their dream relationship and create a life where they truly have it all. Her approach blends science-based tools with spiritual practices, giving her students both clarity and transformation. At the core of this entire conversation is the invitation to study yourself, getting to know who you truly are, what you really want, how you operate in this world, and the frequency that you want to put off to attract that right partner. Let's get into it. Hey, Laura, welcome to the Gutsy Podcast.
Hey, Laura, thanks for having me.
Listen, I know this is going to sound a little corny, but two Lauras make a right. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to oppose it. I'm not going to oppose it.
Yeah, for sure. So we're talking about relationships today. That is at the core of a lot of our lives, whether we're in one, we're looking for one, we're navigating one. So I'm excited to dig into this with you. I'm kind of curious how you got into this work, though. You're helping specifically ambitious women to find partners. So what brought you into this work that made you say, yeah, this is what I want to do?
So I've been on a whole journey towards coaching and then later on towards dating coaching. Maybe let's skip the part where I talk about how I got into coaching in general, because we would be on this question for far too long. But I started out as a general life coach, and something that so my clients would come to me for all types of things they wanted to work on. But as very often as a byproduct of our work, they would find partners. After struggling for years and years, being single, something that I did in my practice as a general life coach. And I still do that. It's just a smaller percentage. But we would always do a general life assessment. So we would look, like a bird's eye view on their life, see what they want to work on. And obviously, everything in life is interconnected. So even if dating wasn't their top one priority, very often what would be there would be self-confidence, self-love, self-image, things like that. And they're very often tightly connected to their outcomes in dating. So that would obviously be an amazing bonus to get at the end of your coaching program if you come for, let's say, career progression or general confidence building. So that was one of the factors, probably the biggest one, because the word of mouth started to spread. It's not something you're going to post on social media about, for sure, but word of mouth. And then that really made me think about my own journey. And this is why I'm working specifically with ambitious women, because I used to struggle with dating for the longest time. Like ever since I can remember, how like when you're a girl and you have a crush and you sort of like start thinking about boys. I was always the one who had crushes, but they were never reciprocated. And I felt like that just continued into my adult life. And I was so frustrated because I was like, how is it possible that everywhere else in life I can build what I want? Because what it takes is a specific goal. You need to get a strategy, and then you need to put in the work, and sooner or later you're going to have it. And dating is the only thing where you cannot control the outcome. How frustrating, because like you said, it's such a big part of our life, right? So I personally took a year of dating completely, and use all of the tools that I had. So my coaching experience, but also my psychology degree, to sort of study myself and figure out what was wrong. Because if I'm not having success in dating, as comfortable as it is to blame men, I am the common denominator, right? Like something, I must be doing something too. So then based on these insights that I came up with about myself, I started sharing them with my clients. Then the word spread, and then because I've had so many successes, I decided to consolidate all of that knowledge into a specific framework. So that's my signature thing, and this is how I arrived at being mainly a dating coach today.
Amazing. Wow. It's wild. I I'm in a really great fortunate situation. I skipped all of that.
Oh,
I found my husband, my partner, my best friend in high school.
oh,
So
that's the dream scenario.
yes, it is. And there's a whole different set of work that has to be done when you find your
For sure.
partner so early too, because you have no
Yeah.
idea who you are, you have no idea who they
Mm-hmm.
are, right? Like that could be a whole different conversation. But
Yeah.
with the women that I work with, and even just through my friends, you know, this is this is an active part of life, right? And when
Mm-hmm.
you're ambitious and you're ready to do things and you're like, I can achieve all of these things. I'm so glad you said this. Like, I can achieve all of this. Why isn't this coming through? Why is this one
Mm-hmm.
piece not coming full circle? Like, where
Yeah.
is my person?
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine, and I've witnessed that that is incredibly frustrating and can do a lot to
Mm-hmm.
your self esteem.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And the problem is, and this is again why I'm speaking to ambitious women specifically, because with everything else in life, if you approach it with this structure and persistence, and if something is not working out, you double down your efforts. If that's your philosophy, it works out. Like it works at the gym, it works at in your professional life, it works with everything that you want. But with dating, if you try to approach it the same way, project manage it, so be like, okay, I'm going to set a quota for myself. This is the number of dates I'm going to go on, because statistically it's a numbers game, right? So if I just go on enough dates, I have to meet the one. Like it has to happen. And this is a completely, and that's exactly the approach that gets you that makes you burnt out, that makes you question your self-esteem and your self-worth and your how you're being seen as a woman. Because the women that I work with, they don't have a problem with confidence in the sense that, they don't doubt that they're able to achieve what they want to achieve. They don't doubt in themselves as public speakers, like doing the difficult jobs, like being managers, being leaders, running businesses. They have so much confidence in that. They are not afraid to take on the world. Their soft spot is, how do men see me? Because apparently something is missing in the way they see me. If I'm not able to keep a man, if I'm not able to get a man to see me as a long relationship material, if I'm not able to get a man to treat me properly, everyone is just low effort, something must be wrong with me, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's the difference in the challenge, and it also then requires a completely different type of work.
Well, it's like that's exactly where I'm going with this is what is the alternate approach, right? If we can't project manage our way through this, we
Mhm.
can't, like project our way through this. What is the approach shift that you find works better to attract?
Mm-hmm. Um, Definitely making the shift from trying to force things into reality. Because I know that many ambitious women believe this, and I do too, in all the other areas of life, which is like, I can work hard enough to literally force this into reality. Like, I'm just going to make it happen. Here, it's about letting go, which is the hardest thing, especially when you're on a timeline, because you're in your late 30s, you still want to have kids, you want to start a family. And that's something that you just cannot change. Biology is biology. So you want to meet the right person because you don't want to just settle and be with just anyone. So it's very difficult to be like, you know what, I'm not going to just accept whatever. I'm not going to settle. Um, but I also don't want to be alone. So what do I do? And so the work that I do with my clients is not about, part of it is strategy as well, because I also don't believe in just esoteric terms and, like good vibes and good energy. Like feminine energy and the certain dynamics are obviously a big part of it, but I do believe in being specific and very prescriptive in what they need to do, because that's the thing that annoyed me the most. I was like, I read so many books and listened to so many podcasts and whatever, and I still don't know what to do. So I believe in that. But before we get to that practical stage of, okay, this is how you should set up your dating profile, these are the apps you should be using, this is how you should communicate, and these are the shifts you should make. It's more about, what are my beliefs about myself? What are my previous experiences, both in dating and in life in general, that shaped those beliefs that are making me show up to dating the way I do? And only once you heal those parts of yourself and optimize them, if you will, you're able to have a different dating experience. Because if you're unhealed in terms of who you are, what shapes you, if you don't understand it, you're not aware of your limiting beliefs, I can give you all the strategies in the world and they're not going to work. Because what do you do once the script runs out? This is then when things go wrong. And this is why social media advice, just generic social media advice, doesn't work long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this what you meant by you took a year off and studied yourself?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Because, and I think so. My One of my core beliefs is that whatever happens in life prepares us for something, and teaches us something valuable that we can, even the worst life lesson, we can use it for good somehow. And like I said, because I was so unlucky in dating, whatever my clients come to me with at this stage, I don't want to see I've seen it all, because I don't know, I will say it maybe maybe on my deathbed, but for now I wouldn't say that. But I've seen a lot, either through my own experiences, but also through my clients' experiences. But Um, I've experienced a lot of all of the most common struggles with dating. I have experienced them. I have been cheated on. I have been in dating dynamics where I wasn't considered material for a long-term relationship, which is something that for me personally was the most hurtful thing, because it was like, what's wrong with me? Like, you want to see me casually, but you don't want to pursue me properly. What am I missing? So I would experience that. I would experience, rejection, ghosting, whatever it is. Like, I experienced it all. Um, and I was in a narcissistic relationship as well. So all of these things, at first I was like, this has to be the man. But then when you have like this whole streak of things, I was like, it has to be something that draws me to these people. It cannot just be that everyone is toxic, because if my friends who have access to the same dating pool as I do, the same apps, the same social circles, if they're able to find the right guys and I'm not, it's not just the men. So yes, it was about looking inwards. What were my limiting beliefs? What was my conditioning from the past? And unfortunately, it very often does go back as far as family and like your early years. And I just want to make it clear, coaching is not therapy, so I don't do that. But it's more about extraction of feedback of what worked for me, what didn't, and if it didn't, why, and how am I going to avoid it in the future.
Yeah. Are you willing to share maybe one or two of the limiting beliefs or previous experiences that were driving you
Oh yeah,
then attracting this kind of same person or situation over and over again?
sure. I'm an open book. So my father, it sounds so difficult, but my
Well, I get
father
it.
my father is a narcissist, like a textbook narcissist. And so, I was never praised. I was never enough, always had to perform in order to be appreciated, to feel loved. And that would always put me in situations where I felt like where I wasn't just enough as I was. Like, I always had to prove myself. And and after I finished that narcissistic relationship with a man who literally cheated on me with like everything that moved, it was disgusting.
Not funny, but funny.
Yeah. um it's not like it wasn't just that he cheated, he also was treating me very badly. But as I was thinking about it, I was like, I noticed myself saying it a few times. I felt like my dad told me off after certain conversations with him. And I was like, that's so weird, because it's not like he's old enough to be my dad. We don't have that sort of power dynamic as well, where he's taking care of me. So why do I feel that way? And then looking into it, I realized that yes, it didn't feel comfortable, but it felt familiar. And I was reframing it in my head because I've always had a big personality, strong character. So I thought my problem was that I cannot find a man who is strong enough to handle me. And with this toxic guy, I was like, yes, finally someone who can put me in my place, who is able to not tame me, but match me, finally someone who I am not dominating. And and I didn't see how toxic it was, that I felt, that being put in my place is a good thing. It obviously wasn't. Him putting me down wasn't him showing strength. It was him being abusive. So that's definitely one example. Realizing that connection, and even the link. Obviously, that's just one tiny thing within that whole dynamic, but just being aware of, recognizing that familiar versus good for you, completely different things.
Yeah.
Um,
That familiar piece is all too familiar, right?
yeah.
It's like it's not what you want, but it's what you're used to. It's what your body's used
Mm,
to. You know how to you know how to navigate it, you know how to work with it, you know how to react or respond with it. So it's like, even though it's not the thing that you want, and this goes not just in
Mhm.
relationships, but in everything in life, it may
Yeah.
not be the thing that you want, but it is the thing that's most familiar, which then feels like comfort, but
Yeah.
it's a disguise.
Yeah, and it's so normal. It might be frustrating. And there's another example that I want to share that I feel so many of the perfectionists out there listening will identify with, because perfectionism is something we learn in our childhood as well. And as the oldest daughter, again, conditioned by the narcissistic father, like you have to be the best, you have to be grown up, responsible. I and obviously narcissists are just super self-centered. So I always like I was raised to take care of others, be responsible of others. Um so the other relationship that I was in, I was the one who carried the whole thing. I was the one who took care of the household and who, like I was in my early 20s and I was already like looking after everything. So carrying the mental load that wives and mothers usually carry, is it fair? I don't think we have the time to get into that right now, but that's just how it is. So I was carrying that mental load. I was advancing my career. I was motivating him to advance his career. I was super controlling. I wasn't trusting him at all. Was he mature enough to be trustworthy is another question. But for a long time, I just saw his fault. And I was like, oh, he wasn't mature enough. He wasn't ambitious enough. He just wasn't a match for me, which is true. But also, I was never giving him the space to take care of me and to be an equal partner, because I was so used to controlling everything and feeling like it is my responsibility to get everything done, because if I don't do it, no one's going to do it. It killed some of my relationships because it killed that chemistry. I became a mom and my partner would become a son, or just my child, which is just not healthy, not necessarily supportive of chemistry and polarity and that sexual passion.
That is a very, I'm glad that you went here. I'm glad you brought this up because I think
Mhm.
this is a really big one, especially with ambitious women, because you're used to being the one that takes care of it all.
Yeah.
And especially you add in that eldest daughter. Hello, I'm part of the club there. You know, that comes with its own set of weight and responsibility and expectations that's been
Yeah.
given to us at a very early age. And so I think that this is a spot that a lot of women, even that are in relationships with partners right now,
Mhm.
struggle with receiving, like
Mhm.
letting down, letting someone come through for you, showing them that,
Mhm.
like, hey, showing yourself that you don't always have to be the one, quote unquote, in charge. But I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot of battle with that, especially like if your partner's not yet proven that they can show up in that space. And so it's kind of messy. Talk to me about this space.
Mhm. That is definitely ongoing work. And with this, it's certain dynamics are set from the beginning. That's the easiest way. But that's not to say that you cannot adjust those dynamics when you're in a relationship already. Um, the biggest thing that I work with my clients on is that if you because they're very often trapped in that cycle of, I want to be taken care of. I want my partner to do things for me, take things off my plate, make my life easier. But I want them to do it in exactly the way I envision. And I'm so specific about it that I either spend so much time like micromanaging them, which then defeats the whole point, or I just come to the conclusion that it's easier for me to do it myself. Either way, it's not what they want, so they feel frustrated. They're like, I don't want that, but then they can't let go. So the biggest thing we work on is being okay, and that's perfectionism and control connected or mixed, is that the biggest first step if you want to be taken care of is being okay with the fact that people are going to do things their way. And unless you're able to accept it, you will you will always be the control freak. You will always be the one who carries everything. And it's in this case, it's literally just like at work. Like if you're able, like if you want to be able to delegate things, you need to trust people that they will be able to deliver. And even if it's not exactly how you would have done it, you have to trust it's still going to be done good enough, or also good, just in a different way.
I should be able to figure this out on my own. How many times have you said that to yourself, either quietly or out loud, or you're just sitting there staring out the window saying, what the fuck? Like, why is this not working the way that I know that it could? Chances are you have been the quote unquote strong one for everyone else in your world your entire existence. You're the one that everyone else leans on. Everyone knows that you're going to handle your shit. Doing the work? That's never been the issue. But you're running your shit into the ground by running circles around making sure that everyone has everything else that they need before you take care of yourself. And then you come back to, why do I do all this stuff for everyone else? Why can't I do this for myself? Well, when it comes to you, you go into overthinking. Perfectionism pops to the front, and of course that people pleasing wants to take over. A lot of the women that join Oraline are building from an energy of desperation. Not in a sense of, oh gosh, is this going to work? And can I do this? And I'm not sure about myself. Yeah, there are some moments of doubt, but that desperation is rooted in, how do I get this all to work? How do I let go of the old and step into the new? And how do I start putting my shit at the front of the line and stop feeling bad about it? In Oraline, we are restructuring your business to work with your life instead of against it. And a big part of that is the way that you're showing up for yourself and the way that you're depleting yourself for other people. If you know, like you can feel that you are on the cusp of something incredible, you just need some help getting over that hump, then Oraline is the space to do it. And the best part is, you don't have to figure it out all on your own. Go to lauraora.com/mastermind to get your ass in here. Or if you've got some questions, shoot me a DM. Yeah. It's that release of control
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of women really struggle with. And I think because it's been so ingrained for so long that if you're not in control, then it's out of control. Because
Yeah.
because somebody is dropping the ball, because nobody else is coming to do it, because you're the one that everyone else looks to, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's this kind of power dynamic between I don't want to be in control anymore because I'm exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
and also uh, I need to control all the things because if I don't, then it's all falling apart.
Yeah, but then, okay, so we have two separate situations here. So in dating, if you are if you just started seeing someone and you don't want to be the person who is moving the relationship forward, who's trying to make sure that the next date happens and that the conversation keeps flowing and whatnot, as an experiment, just step back and observe what happens. If he is or he or she is not making these moves, if you feel like you're the only one carrying it forward, then here's your answer. That's how it's going to be. Because in the initial stages, if you've just been on 2, 3 dates with someone, it does not make sense to try and fix something. They're clearly just not that into you, or that's not the dynamic they're looking for, which is fine, but then just save their time and move on. And so again, you don't have to end up in that dynamic if you choose not to pursue the person who is seeking that dynamic or is comfortable in that dynamic. And then when you are in a relationship, it's a matter of having an honest conversation and letting them know how you feel. As simple as it sounds. Well, it sounds simple in principle, but when it comes to articulating how we feel, and then also when you mix that with that struggle of letting go and trusting. So at first you need to have a conversation with yourself and be like, okay, I'm exhausted, I do want help, but that means being okay with somebody doing things their way. And when you're okay with that, having a conversation with your partner. And if your partner is the right person for you, they will take it seriously. And even if they don't do it perfectly from the get go, they will be actively working on themselves so that you can share the burden, whatever it is. Sometimes it's not even about the burden. Sometimes it's just about feeling good in a relationship, like we are being pursued and desired, regardless how many years into the relationship we are.
Yeah, you got to give them a chance to show you who they are, one, and what they're capable of.
Yeah,
Because if you never let them take care of you,
exactly.
eventually they're going to stop trying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's tough because you want to be the one, like you were saying in that example, like if you're the one always reaching out and scheduling the next date and always taking care of things, and if you're already in a relationship, if you're the one at home that's always like moving things forward, when's the last time that you gave them the opportunity to do that for you?
Exactly. And I want to speak to this because I imagine at least some of the listeners will be like, yeah, okay, that all sounds great in theory, but then when I meet someone I really like, and I know that I'm picky, and I know that I'm very particular about the person that I want to be with, and I don't want to settle and yada yada yada, I don't want to miss on that opportunity, right? So this is why I'm acting the way I am, because I feel like I came across something good and I don't want to miss out on it. Um, and that's and the same thing with relationships is like, okay, but what if I make the space and they don't step up? What do I do then? So it truly letting go is also realizing that we might face some difficult decisions, because if that person that you just met and you really like them and they seem to be ticking all of the boxes, the moment you create space for them, they are not using that space, there's just an empty space and nobody doing anything. That forces you to face that hard realization that they're probably not as into you as you're into them,
Mm.
and you will have to move on, and you will not miss out, but that it will not work out with that person. And it's the same with a partner. If you communicate to them, if you do create that space and they are not acting on it still, that will require more serious steps, right? Maybe going to therapy, maybe actually asking yourself a question: do I want to live like this for the rest of my life? And
Yeah.
that's not easy, and this is why we struggle to even go there in our head.
Oh yeah, that I mean, we talk about that all the time is uh, we often skip over the answer or doing the work because we know what's on the other side of it,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
potentially know what's on the other side of it, right? If I say I want this, then that means I
Mm-hmm.
have to do these things to get it. If I say I don't want this anymore, I know what the decisions I have to make and the actions I have to take to
Yeah.
unwind that, right? And so it's like it's starting with this vulnerable space internally of like, what do
Mm-hmm.
I truly want? What do I value in myself? Which goes back to what you were saying earlier about studying yourself. Like, if you don't take the time to
Mm-hmm.
study yourself and you don't know what you want and need, and um,
Mm-hmm.
what your non-negotiables are,
Yeah.
then it's going to continue to bleed into you know not just partnership, but in all types of relationships, in your business, in your job. I mean, it shows up
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. So it's that it's that honest look in the mirror and saying, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what do I need to shift? What do I actually want? And how is that fitting into the relationships in my life right now?
Oh yeah, 100%. Um, that this is why, when people ask me, oh, like, how can you? Because my program comes with a 6 month results guarantee. Like, you are gonna meet a guy within 6 months, and they're like, how can you guarantee that? Like, you don't know the men that live around me, and I'm like, yes, I don't know the men that live around you, but I know that there are so many obstacles within you that when we remove those, you're fine. And the patterns, the conditioning, that's one thing, but even just awareness of what we want in a partner. Very often when I ask my clients when we first meet, what do you want? And they say, oh, someone kind and someone who's family oriented and ambitious like me. And that's all nice, but if we just take these three, and maybe they will drop in like two features in terms of I don't know, their height or whatever, preference for hair or something like that. But if we just have 5 filters on all of the male population, it could be literally anyone, which means you are just you can be looking your whole life and not find that person. So we need to get very clear on who it is that you want to date or spend the rest of your life with, why, and also, are you the way you are right now? Are you a match for that person? And that's the part that so many people miss. They're like, even if they have a list, because sometimes I have women who are like, okay, let's just, they literally have an Excel of all the dates they go on and like the notes and whatever. They have a very specific list. So they're like, Laura, I'm doing my homework here. Why am I still not meeting the guy? But then when we look at what they want and at the woman that's compatible with that person, we very often find there are gaps, and this is why they are struggling. So yeah, a lot of success in dating is working on yourself, actually.
Listen, that are you a match for the person that you're looking for? I feel like that just hit somebody right in the stomach today. Like, because honestly, again, this is a mirror reflection. Can you give
Mm.
me an example of someone that you've worked with that said she wanted one thing but was not a match for it? Like what does that look like in life?
I'll share my own story because I'm my own, first client. Um, Something that I wrote about on my list was that I want someone who takes care of me, who is a leader in our family. Doesn't mean he takes care of everything, but he takes care of me enough that I can, focus on the things that I want to focus on the things that I believe add the biggest value to the family as I see it. And so I wrote down, I trust and support his vision, and he takes care of me. And then when I was writing down a second list of like who I am for him, like who is the person that is a match for that guy, it was somebody who's able to trust and support and not always like be in the driver's seat. And I was like, that's so not me. Like I need to know everything that's going on. I need to control, be in the know, and make the decision about everything that's going on in my life. So that's not going to work. I need to learn to let go, as we spoke previously. And that's something I'm sharing this because that really hit me personally. As I was reading these points, I was like, that's not me. I'm not that person. And then another thing that I had on my list. Let me think what it was. Where I'm going with this, like even theoretically. So something that I had on my list, which was because the thing that I believe in is that you can never be asking for too much in a partner. It's all a question of how willing you are to work on yourself. And so obviously that letting go of control, whatever, is one thing. Well, I say whatever, that's actually a massive thing. But there were other things that I was very specific about. So for example, I live in England, but I didn't want to date someone who was English or Polish. I'm Polish because I was like, I know I have it in me to learn another language. And what's a better motivation to learn another language than a partner who, speaks a different language as their mother tongue? And if I had that goal, if I had that on my list while living in a village where there's like 200 people living, obviously my chances of meeting someone like that organically would be very small. And then that's still not impossible. I would just have to make an effort to put myself out there in bigger cities. But obviously, that's much easier to achieve when you live in London, which is where I live and where I moved. So it's never about what you want. It's just about what are you willing to do in order to achieve it. There were other things as well. So I want somebody who has a certain lifestyle, is international, into art, and etc. etc. And I was like, okay, if I want to be a match for a person like that, how do I have to carry myself? Like, who do I have to be for him to proudly take me into these places, right? Not all women enjoy being arm candy. I do. And I want to be like showed off. I want him to be proud of me. But like, if I want a man to be proud of me, if I want him to be good looking, I need to be good looking too. And there's obviously so much you can do with that aspect, but I had, and that's a side quest, but sorry, I have to say it. I, when I was in my dating stage, I was thinking for the longest time that I'm just gonna, like, I wouldn't do my nails regularly and just like, wear, like, I would be in my leggings and just like a sweatshirt for like most, like the majority of the time. And then when I saw my description of the lifestyle of the lifestyle my partner leads, of who they are, I realized, okay, so I don't do my nails, I don't really wear nice outfits, I don't, like, my pajamas are honestly like my old t-shirts from high school. um am I really matching that person? And my approach back then was that, oh, I'm gonna make myself look nice when I go on a date or when I meet someone, and then it makes sense for me to buy the nice pajamas, for me to wear the nice outfits. But then I was like, okay, so if I'm living as my old self now, if I'm living in leggings and I want someone who would never be caught dead in, like, okay, that's a bit extreme, but you know what I'm going with this, somebody who doesn't usually do this. If I am out there, they will not notice me and realize I'm the match for them, because I am not showing up as the version who's a match for my ideal person. Um so yeah, so it's working on yourself internally, but externally as well. It's not like I went and got plastic surgery, and I don't, encourage anybody to do that, but it's about realizing what sort of lifestyle you want with your partner as well, and then living it already even before you meet them.
Yeah, this is identity work at its core.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
100%.
we're talking vibrational frequency here. We're talking about living, acting, showing up as the version of you that already has the things that you
Yeah.
want. We do this in business too, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, how does future Laura show up in her
Mm-hmm.
business today?
Yeah.
How does she move? How does she make decisions? How does she how does she take care of herself?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of foods does she eat?
Yeah.
And so whether it's relationship or business or anything in between, if you want those things, it's not about getting to that place and then having them. It's starting to embody those
Mm-hmm.
aspects of yourself today. It may not be 100%, but like one of my things is to be on stage, I have to work out. Like, Laura
Mm-hmm.
on stage, like, people don't realize how much physical energy goes into
Mm-hmm.
traveling and lugging luggage around and getting on stage and walking and
Yeah.
talking and having that stamina. She needs me to be healthy. So
Mm-hmm.
I started going to the gym, a year and a half ago. And,
Yeah.
it's working up to that. So I'm hearing that same thing here, in dating and relationships is we're choosing to show up as the person that already has that amazing, committed, beautiful relationship that you're yearning for.
Yeah. And also, so, that's on the sort of lifestyle side of things. But also, let's just stick to the example of letting go. Very often, I find my clients telling me, when I meet the right guy, then I will be able to let go. Then
Right.
he will, take care of me. But that's not how it works. Because if you're dating someone and you're already micromanaging everything, do you think there's ever going to come a day where you're just going to wake up and he's going to wake up and he's going to say, honey, from now on, like, we are reversing the dynamic, and you're just gonna say okay, and that's how it's gonna go? No.
No.
So yeah, that part where you don't postpone your evolution, because it's not something you can change overnight, but having that awareness that the life you want, like you said, it's not just dating or just business, but the life that you want is always about intention and not saying I'll have it later. And I feel like for my clients specifically, for them it's somehow easier to feel that certainty about outcomes in other areas of life because they're high achievers. But with dating, because it's so unpredictable, they struggle to feel that certainty that they are going to meet the right person. And this is why they postpone. So it's identity work, but also the limiting beliefs that, yes, it's possible, even though you had a streak of, being single most of the time for the last 10 years, you can still turn it around. And it doesn't start with moving to a different country and dating different men. You can do it by evolving yourself and upgrading yourself.
Oh, what a beautiful way to wrap up this episode, my friend. You're doing incredible work. You're helping women to find their partners. You have a 6-month guarantee. So, I mean, that
Yeah.
is gutsy in its own. Where can everyone find and connect with you?
The best place to find me is Instagram. It's at Laura Nagiel. And for the past few months, I started also creating longer form content on YouTube. So if you want to hear me elaborate on specific points of the dating journey, you can find more insights there. And if what we spoke about today really spoke to you, and you want to figure out where to start your journey, where to start fixing yourself, I have a free dating audit you can take so that you know what your biggest problem in dating is, actually, and the next 3 steps you need to take in order to start fixing it.
Perfect. We will link that below in the show notes. And I'm curious, what does gutsy mean to you?
It means that I live, as cliche as it sounds, I'm true to myself. I live with what feels true. Because for me, gutsy is obviously something that comes from my gut, something that my intuition tells me that I should do. And I find that it's very difficult for people in general to follow their intuition, follow their gut, and be gutsy about it. So for me, someone who is true to themselves, who follows their intuition, that's a gutsy person, and these are gutsy moves.
I think the common denominator here, friends, is receiving love, receiving help, receiving support, receiving time. We have to be open to have the things that we actually say that we want. And while it's uncomfortable because it's new, it can also be programmed, just like the other things that you're living out right now. If you want to chat out if Auraline is the right next step for you, you can shoot me a DM. I'm at that Laura Aura across all the platforms. Or you can book a clarity session. If you go to lauraaura.com/clarity, that's a chance for you and I to go deep diving, see what's going on, and get a plan to get it done. Let people surprise you in the best of ways, because the support is there. You just got to let it in. Stay gutsy, my friend.